I think a lot of people judged me for being with a man that was 17 years older than me. So I always got the gold digger card. I'm not just like this pretty face. I'm a real designer. I'm on Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week runway.
You're a businesswoman.
I was that girl that so desperately just wanted to fit in, have boobs like all the other girls had. It wasn't until it affected my health that I decided to remove them.
So this is what inspired you to create Original Self.
I couldn't be the only one suffering and going through what I'm going through. Helping other women feel good about themselves, to show that like you can be post-explant or post-mastectomy and still be so beautiful. That's really powerful. I funded my entire brand myself, and that was really scary because if this fails, it's all on me. I go and look at his phone and I see text messages from girls that were there at my house. It came down to an ultimatum. Am I gonna stay with the father of my children, or am I going to follow my heart, which was calling me to Danielle?
Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're a founder, content creator, the ultimate girl's girl. You're the creator of the Girls Girl Collective, right? Co-founder at Leisure brand ALGND.
Yes.
Which I love how that's spelled, by the way. And founder of the Original Self, which is a brand supporting women, post-explant and beyond. And you're known for your authenticity, style, and you share all about confidence, womanhood, and wellness.
Yes. It was a mouthful, wasn't it?
I know, it was, but it's great. Do you know I've been following you since like 2014 or 15?
I had no idea, and I think that's so cool.
That's when I got Instagram, actually. I had just graduated and I was going into the workforce and sitting at work just like scrolling. And I remember I saw Lily. I think I found Lily Galici first because she was on the show.
Yeah.
Or something with that. And then you guys did a swimwear thing, which was Have
Faith Swimwear.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's how I found you two girls. And then I saw that you were from the East Coast and I was like, oh, this is cool. But yeah, I've always been following your journey along, and even when you were married to like now, and now you're in Florida. Back then you were in LA.
Yeah,
it's been quite a journey that you
many
had.
lives.
Yep. Which goes into my next question. You're a model, an entrepreneur, a mother, a wellness advocate, but under all of that, who's Jennifer Stano?
I'm so much just a girl's girl. I love to be like the girl next door, relatable. And I just have really big dreams. And I just, I grew up in White Plains, New York, which is suburbs, but small. And I always had dreams of moving out to California. And I wanted to be a model and maybe like an actress. And I don't know what it is. Like some people just have bigger dreams or different dreams than others. And yeah, that was mine. But I love staying relatable. I love helping other women feel good about themselves. And I still have really big dreams. We're not all there yet.
No, you're doing really well though. Like you're very inspirational. Tell me a little bit about your early life, like growing up in New York. Siblings, parents, school.
Yeah. So parents, mom, dad, they got divorced when I was 13. I have a younger brother, Steven. We're really close. Just typical middle-class family, went to camp, had what I needed, had a car on my 16th birthday that my mom got for me. It was a Chevy Malibu, but it was a car. She taught me to always save for a rainy day and to work really hard. She worked multiple jobs to give my brother and myself everything that we needed. And I never felt like we didn't have enough. I was always into hair and makeup. I went to school for cosmetology. After high school, I worked in a hair salon. Then I started modeling. And that's when my dreams got bigger and the world seemed bigger. And that's when I was like, I really want to move to California when I'm older. And got engaged young. Mm-hmm. And that's when I made my way from New York to California.
Did your parents' divorce affect you at all?
So you know what? They never fought in front of my brother and I, but I knew that there was a disconnect. And I think I ultimately just wanted them both happy. And so my dad left when I was at school, so I didn't see the whole process, but we had the conversation that this was going to happen. And he moved a town over into an apartment and we saw him on the weekends. So life was different. I think if anything, I felt at that age oh wow, I have more freedom. My dad was a little strict, but there were things that I missed. I missed hearing his keys when he came home, or I missed seeing his shoes where they were, or he'd always come home and be like, I'm bringing home the bacon, which is bring home the money. Mm-hmm. So there were things like that I missed, but I think I enjoyed having a bit more freedom at that age.
Because you didn't have both looking over your head. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When you have two parents in one household, I think all kids say that who have divorced parents, you get away with a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's not such a bad thing. It's actually fun for kids. Would you say that you were in New York, which I consider New York to be a fashion hub for sure. Like you could model there. What was your pull to California?
Modeling I did, I had agencies and everything in Manhattan, and then in 2008 the market crashed and a lot of those closed. In 2009 I remember I had just gotten out of a relationship and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And my mom was like, well, why don't you become like a bartender? Because I was not in the club scene, but I used to do like guest list at clubs. I used to do like go-go dancing at like the nightclubs. And I loved just like going out and dancing and having a good time. So I was going to go get my bartending license, and I had no idea even how to make a drink still to this day. And I ended up meeting my then ex-husband, or my now ex-husband, but
This is in New York.
This is in New York.
Okay.
At 24.
Okay.
So in 2009 I met him, and in 4 months we were engaged, and I moved from New York to California. And he had lived there in the 90s with his first wife, moved back to London, was in New York on a business meeting. I met him through a mutual friend. We just exchanged emails, dated 4 months, and then 4 months after got engaged, we were like, well, you're in London, I'm in New York, what are we doing? We're like, well, I guess let's go to California. So we picked up and moved to 90210.
All right. Was that his idea or yours?
Oh, I think it was mutual. I always wanted to move.
You always wanted to move, and so then he was down
and
for
he
it.
loved it and wanted to go back. So yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
When was the first time that you truly felt seen or heard?
I want to say...
Not about like what you do, like a model and like, you know, nightclubs, or what you look like, you know, you're a very beautiful person, but like maybe out of the exterior, when you felt like truly seen, truly like heard, loved, accepted.
It's a really deep, good question. I'm not really sure. I really don't even know how to answer that. Initially, it came to me when I started my swimwear line, and I did Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week here in Miami. And I flew in, and I had my team fly in, and I got to choose all the models. And I remember walking down the runway at the end with one of my good friends at the time, Rachel Bernstein. And I walked out to Neo, that song that's like, give me everything tonight. Yeah. He was sitting front row at my show, and I had no idea.
Neo was?
Neo was.
Oh,
and
wow.
I felt like, oh my God, like that was my moment. I had worked so hard. I had so much recognition. Like I was the designer coming out, and like he's sitting front row, I'm walking out to his song. And I think that that was a really like pivotal moment for me, that I was like, wow, like I think I made it with my swimwear. So, you know, not having really premeditated this question with an answer, that's what comes to me as far as like feeling like, wow, I'm not just like this pretty face, like I'm a real designer. I'm on Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week runway.
You're a businesswoman at this point, right? What part of your past do you think people misunderstand the most about you?
I think a lot of people judged me for being with a man that was 17 years older than me. I was 24 when I met him. He was 41. And he had a lot of money. And so I always got the gold digger card. And I used to say to people, like, from an outside, it's so easy to look into someone's life and be like, oh, she's just with him for the money. But try spending all that time with just one person. If you cannot stand them, if you're not attracted to them, try traveling the world, which sounds glamorous, but you're going to their houses with their people and their family. And, you know, you're this like outsider. If you don't genuinely have a connection and love for someone, that's going to last only for so long, you know?
Well, that's a good point that you bring up, actually, because we're all guilty of it, that when you do look at someone who's very young with a very successful guy, you do question, like, oh, everyone says that. It's like, it's like easy, you know, like just like rolls off people's tongues. Like, yeah, she's a gold digger, or she's just with him for the money, or she has daddy issues. Like they'll say things like that, right? So, but when you say like, no, you can't just spend that much time with somebody and fake it. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
like you can't fake it. I've never looked at it that way, but you're right. Like, how can you fake an entire life with somebody for just that? That would be very
I couldn't. Maybe there are people that can, but like I wasn't that desperate. Like I could have like waited, but like, yeah, we had a great connection. And I think people had glimpses of that on social media. Instagram wasn't what it was now than in 2010.
Right.
But yeah, I think that that's one of the biggest things, is that I always got the like, oh, she's just with him for the money, when I genuinely loved him.
Wow.
You know?
In building your brand and life, what sacrifices did you quietly make that no one really knows about, that you didn't feel like you could maybe bring up or talk about, but now you look back and think, wow, I gave up a lot?
with building Original Self, because that's my current brand that I'm like really focusing on, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy. And when you're just starting off, you're not going to have this huge team, right? Because you're putting out so much money, and I've funded my entire brand myself. So there's no debt here. Like, I've paid for everything, and I have no partners that I owe or have to pay or anything. So literally doing it myself. And I just think there's a lot of time and sacrifice. You know, there's nights where I could be sitting with the kids watching TV, but I'm upstairs filling orders because I'm trying to like save money to like do it myself and recoup what I can. And yeah, I think there's a lot of sacrifice when you're starting a business yourself.
I don't think people understand the risk. So I'm the same way. I no funders, no nothing. Both my husband and I, the companies that we started, it's just all on our own. And I will say that that's probably one of the least talked about topics, because people don't like to talk about money. I think that's a big part of it too, right? It's just an awkward topic for people. But for me, I think you nailed that part. The risk that you take, the mental toll, maybe not toll, but like mentally the things that you think of, like, okay, I'm putting all of this in here. This rides on my shoulders. I'm the one who has to carry this through. But then life is still going on, right? Your kids, your family, your husband, your wife, whatever it is, like that's still rolling. And so it's like, you need to know, I think the balance too, when to step away, when to go crazy at it, when to step away. Like, you have to have your boundaries.
Yeah.
But when people say, like, do you have work-life balance? I don't think
hard.
that.
Especially when you're working from your home, it's like your office is your home.
Office
your
is
home
your
is your
home.
office, and it's like it never stops.
The line is blurry. But is that such a bad thing when you love what you're doing?
No.
Maybe not.
It's not. And, you know, my wife and I launched ALGND, which is an athleisure line, before and simultaneously with launching Original Self. So we really launched two businesses at once, which I never would recommend to anybody doing, but we did, and here we are.
Is she involved in all of the, are you guys both together involved 100% in
So
both
we're
businesses?
co-founders of ALGND.
Okay.
I mainly run Original Self myself because it's such a personal brand to me and my experiences. But she does help me with like the back end. She's super good with managing and organizing and financial stuff. I'm very much like front end design, creativity, back end numbers and stuff. I'm just not, my brain just doesn't want to understand it. I wish I was better.
No, it's okay. We all have to play on our strengths.
Yeah.
It's all good. Okay. So you created a brand in an industry that is kind of superficial, you know, but yours is on a deeper level. Can you explain the story behind Original Self?
So in 2019, I was going to downsize my implants. I had 500cc implants, and I was like, I don't need these big boobs anymore. And I wanted to just downsize, and I had...
Well, why did you want to downsize?
So I just felt like I didn't need these really big boobs anymore. I left Beverly Hills, felt like I didn't need these big boobs. I'm with a woman, I have 2 kids. It was more of a hassle. They were just kind of there and big, and I just wanted something smaller and like more delicate.
Do you feel like your opinion of having bigger boobs was altered into this manner because you're now with a woman?
I'm not sure. I don't know if age played a part in it. I don't know if my self-worth and confidence played a part of that, which may have been from being with her and her really just loving and accepting me.
For who you
My
are.
boobs were great. I loved them. She loved them too.
Yeah.
But the real change came when somebody on Instagram had said, well, have you ever heard of breast implant illness? And I was like, no. And I Googled everything. And a lot of the symptoms that were listed were things that I was going through that I didn't even realize were issues associated with something like that. And literally overnight, I decided that I was going to remove them because I believed in my soul that it was my implants that were causing me to have all these weird ailments.
Do you mind sharing what those symptoms
No,
are?
not at all. I had daily headaches. I had weekly migraines. I had monthly urinary tract infections, which you would never think there was an association, but there is.
Wow.
And since I removed brain fog, memory loss, I had acne and like breakouts on my like neck. It was a lot of weird, just random things that weren't like crippling, but who wants to live with things like that if you don't have to?
How long did you have implants for?
15 years, but I had 4 different sets.
Okay.
So my longest set was 9 years.
And so you started to feel these things obviously after the fact, during those 15 years, and you thought they were normal.
I didn't have these symptoms the entire time.
Okay.
But there was a point in the 9 years that I had my last set, which were the gummy bear implants, that I started to get these problems, the headaches, the migraines, the UTIs. There was no reason for me to have these.
Wow.
And so once I removed them, everything went away. I have not had one UTI since 2019 after I removed them.
So it was them. That's
Yeah, so much inflammation went down. I had yellowing of my eyes. My nails were like, I don't know, miscolored. There was just so many, my fingers, like if I bent them like this, they'd get like red and white and swollen. It was really random things. And it all went away
immediately?
within a few months.
Wow.
Within a few months. But immediately I noticed the difference in how well I could breathe because they had attached themselves to my ribs. So my ribs weren't able to like expand.
Wow.
Yeah, and contract.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Honestly, good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is what inspired you to create Original Self.
This is what inspired to create Original Self. I wasn't able to find any bras that would help give me a little bit of a boost because I went from being a D to going back to what I had before I got implants, which was a AA at best. But now I had kids, so the skin was a little more relaxed. And even Victoria's Secret's like bombshell bras, they just don't work for me. So that's why I felt
I don't think they work
like
for anybody.
I needed to create something that would help me because I couldn't be the only one suffering and going through what I'm going through. Mm-hmm. And that's what gave birth to Original Self.
What challenges did you face when you were creating Original Self, though? Because this is now your second company. This is your second business, right? You had Have Faith Swim Jure.
Have Faith Swim Jure, but that closed.
That closed.
Then we had Aligned, which is the athleisure.
Aligned first or Original Self
Aligned,
first?
they were simultaneous, but we launched Aligned first.
Okay. So what were the challenges that you faced with Original Self?
I think the hardest part was really finding a good manufacturer. Timing, everything takes so much longer than you anticipate. But creating the bra, I knew what I wanted. I knew what I was looking for, and I know how to sew. And I was able to take bras that I had bought at other stores and pad them and make them so it would be and fit the way I wanted it to. And then I was able to take that and bring that to like a middleman to help make the pattern and the actual prototype to then send to China to be made.
You kind of like did what Skims did.
Did I?
Yeah. Yeah, because she did that too. She figured out how to do the cut and sew thing. This is back like 10, 15 years ago.
Wait, you're talking Spanx?
No,
Spanx?
no, Skims. Kim Kardashian, like when she would do her dresses or whatnot, this is, again, 10, 15 years ago, the shapewear did not exist for the types of cutout dresses that she would be wearing.
Right.
So they would like nip tuck things and fix them around. And then that's how Skims was an idea that this needs to be more in the market for that. But you kind of
I have on one of her low back skin things right now.
Like that's what you just did. Like you created that in the bra industry.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
How did becoming a mother influence the way that you approached business, beauty, or even ambition?
I got
asked. You had Have Faith before kids.
I did.
Now you have kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if having kids influenced anything in my business. If anything, it's taught me a lot about business and leadership, balance in life and in business. It's taught me patience. Things are going to take a lot longer than you anticipate. It's taught me balance, patience. I guess a deeper sense also that like what I'm building isn't just a surface level brand. I'm not doing this to just like make money and put out a product. I'm really doing this to serve a purpose. I took a pain point and brought it to life and gave it purpose in a sense of I'm creating something that so many women need. And I hope that my kids like look at what I've built and what I'm doing and feel like inspired when they're older that, wow, like look what mom built and was able to still be mom and still show up to like the soccer games and, kickball or whatever and carry both.
Yeah, you invented something in some ways, if you think about it.
Yeah, I did. It's the world's first explant focused company.
Yeah.
There's bras out there for mastectomies, but it's completely different. Like I still wanted this to feel young and sexy and not so like matronly, full coverage.
Right. So can only women who have explants wear these or like,
no.
Maybe you could explain the product.
Yeah. So we're explant focused, but we also support mastectomies. We support women who have had children who are now lost their volume and also just women that have naturally small breasts. So what I created was a bra, which I call my OG bra. And it essentially has like a pocket on the inside, like swimwear, similar to that. So you're able to put in these different inserts. And I offer 3 different size inserts of thicknesses. So we have a thin one, which is called our mini boost. We have a midi boost and then our maxi boost. And they're just 3 different thicknesses that you could stick in the bra. And depending on what your natural tissues like and what you'd like to look like, you add any of those three to the bra, and it gives you this amazing boost. The secret sort of behind it is the teardrop shape, because most women that explant or have mastectomies don't have any upper pole sort of volume, and that's really what gives that like nice slope, is this upper volume area, and there was no bras that were giving that to me.
I don't think there still is, by the way. All the inserts that I see, even in sports bras, regular, they're all
Like those little chicken cutlets.
it's like a weird shape. Now I don't even know
Yeah.
what to call it now that I'm thinking about it, right? It's
Yeah.
not square, it's not round,
Yeah.
it's not triangular.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's weird. It's like an oblong shape. Wow, so that was the secret.
That's what the secret was, just getting that. And you know, growing up, I was really, really good with art. So I deal with all different mediums, and I used to love clay. And so I feel like because I had that sort of artistic creativity in me naturally, that it helped with knowing the aesthetics of what like it was supposed to look like, creating the slope, creating the teardrop, knowing about the upper pole volume. Because these are things that like I didn't know. I just knew what I wanted to look like.
Right, right. When did you start this? When did you launch Original Self?
I launched last year, August 2024.
But you probably worked on it for years prior.
It took 2 years to launch.
Wow. What was the hardest decision you've ever had to make in business?
If I wanted to do this alone or if I wanted to have a partner. Because
When you say partner, you mean like a financial partner? Or having your
partner,
wife involved?
period. Yeah, it would have been my wife, I guess, because I don't know if I would partner with somebody else at this point. But it's the first time that I really did something as an adult on my own. And that was really scary, because if this fails, it's all on me. And who do I have to like share the workload? Who do I have to bounce the ideas off of? I can bounce them off my wife, but it's different when it's like a partner who's involved in every aspect. And that was really scary, because I didn't know if this was going to work. I kind of just figured I need it. And if I need it, there must be other people that need it. I didn't know the response that I was going to get from this, which has been amazing. And it's still scary. It's still scary being the only one, because if I'm not well or if I go on vacation, who's filling my orders? I write handwritten cards to every single order. Who's going to do that? Like I don't have somebody that I can put the workload on.
You don't get a day off.
We really don't.
No, you don't. It's all on you. And I will go, maybe you'll agree with me and maybe you won't, but even if you were to trust someone to do those things like writing the handwritten notes, it's not going to be done to your standards or how you want it. That's one of my biggest problems in my business. We're like, but it's not done the way that I want it, you know? Like I know how I want it to look and only I can do it. And I'm sure like as businesses grow and scale, you have to get over that, right?
Of course.
But time and place for everything. How did this change you though? Not having a partner, not going down that path. Do you think about it? Do you regret it? Do you see yourself pivoting in the future from this, or you're happy with this?
It's definitely made me stronger. It's made me believe in myself more. It's made me prove to myself that I'm stronger than I think in a lot of ways. I was fearful of doing it alone. And so I love like facing a fear and being like, oh, check that off of my fear list, you know?
That's very empowering.
Totally.
That's one of the quickest ways to like train your brain and your body to like progress in life, I guess you could say, or like become a better version of you, I think, is to face your fears and then look at it as like, check.
And to grow.
Yeah.
It's the only way to grow. And so I feel like as a person, I've grown so much through this process of creating and launching and putting myself out there and my product out there. And yeah, that's
incredible. Well, tell me a little bit about Aligned too.
So Aligned, I feel like really we launched and thought of this concept because of my wife. So my wife dresses very androgynous. She's very much a female, boobs, makeup, and, you know, and all the things, but she likes to wear men's clothing. So, you know, female bodies are different than men's bodies. And it was really hard for her to find clothing that was made to fit a woman's body, but in that sort of androgynous style. So we thought, well, why don't we create one where the shorts are, you know, longer and they sit a little bit lower on the hips, and then there's room for the hips, or, you know, t-shirts that would be equivalent to like a size extra small for a man, but like a small for a woman. And so we created that. And then I thought I would just jump in and create some pieces that I like that are out on the market, but maybe not in like the right material, or, you know, I would have wanted to tweak them a certain way. So I designed some like crop top versions of things that she did. And And we decided that, well, why don't we make them all in the same material so you could really mix and match and really personalize and customize how you want to dress? Because maybe you want to wear sweatpants that Danielle designed, more androgynous style, but you want my crop top with it. Or maybe you want the tight leggings with like her oversized t-shirt. So that's kind of like the concept of aligned, and aligned is like parallel, like together, but separate.
Any woman can wear
Yeah,
aligned. Like
I'd love to call it like boy mom.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Very, very cool. How did the name for Original Self come up? It might be self-explanatory, but I don't want to assume.
Nope, that's okay. I actually was in the Bahamas, and I knew that this concept of what I wanted to create, but I really didn't have a name. And I'm floating out in the ocean, and I'm kind of like in my head and meditating and just floating with the sun. And it came to me in like a meditation. And I remember getting out of the beach and running to my towel. And I always take this book that I got when I went to Sri Lanka, and I keep all of my, like, I call them downloads. Into my book. And I have it written there, and it came to me, I think it was June 2022, and I said original self, and I circled it. And so that was one of the names that I was going to go with, but it really wasn't until I had hired a branding company to help me develop this that we threw it back and forth. And I was like, well, these are the names I'm toying with. Original Self was there. And we kind of went back and forth. And she was like, I really like Original Self. And I was like, I do too, but I wanted an acronym for it. I feel like everyone, this generation especially, like everyone likes these acronyms, these abbreviations. So OG for original, and then SLF for self. And I was like, that's the one, Original Self.
That's why I asked you. I like how Aligned does that. And I like how Original Self does that too, because when I saw that on the questions come through, and I'm like, I love that all of her brands are doing this, you know, this acronym thing going on. It looks really cool when like you see it in like a branded way. Like I really like that. That was a really good twist on stuff.
A lot of people think Aligned is a legend, and I was like, I'll take that too.
Yeah, that's good too. That works. Yeah, why not? Wow, I didn't think of that. A legend.
A legend.
That's really good too.
We just dropped it.
That's your next next business line. Just put a dash there, like, and then keep it the same. I want to go back to what you just said about downloads.
Okay.
Because that's me to a T. I feel like when not that I'm looking for something or asking a particular question, although that does happen too, I call them a thought without effort sometimes. And I think when I say this to people, they think I'm crazy. You know, my husband gets
get it.
Yeah, my husband gets it, but not many other people get it. So can you explain, like, do you rely on that a lot in your business? Do you rely on that for your creativity? Do you purposefully go into that mode? Or does it just happen?
There's two different things. One is the downloads, and then the second is like your gut instinct, right? That's like initial thought or feeling before your mind overthinks with like logic and fear. So I try to pay attention to both. I really get downloads when I'm either in my car with like no radio on and I'm just thinking, or in that like period of sleep. I think they call it like REM. It's like you're not quite asleep, but you're not awake. You're like still conscious, but not. I get some really awesome ones then too. And then I forget to write them down. And then I wake up in the morning. I'm like, oh, I'm going to remember this. And I never do.
I don't remember them in the morning. Yeah.
I try to keep one, like a notebook by my bedside.
Yeah.
But usually when I get downloads, it's like what you said. They just come to you. It's feelings and it's words and it's thoughts. And
so you do hear words, right? I hear words.
Yes.
Okay.
Original Self came to me and I was like,
yeah, it's like someone's taught. And then my friends are like, yeah, but is it like, what's the tone of the voice? And what's this? I'm like, I can't explain it. I can't even, I want to assume it's a man's voice.
Yes, but it's not.
But when
it's
I
weird.
Try to go back and remember it, it's not. But it's just like someone says something and I'm like, oh, okay. And it happens to me a lot. Like ideas for the show, ideas for the future business stuff. Like I'm not just sitting here thinking. They literally are sometimes coming to me and I'm writing them down, and then it takes me weeks to voice them. I don't know why. Still, I'm like playing with this, but then years down the line, things do come to fruition.
Yeah.
When I choose to follow, But yeah, that's interesting. I like that. You definitely have a spiritual side to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like most spiritual people kind of can like tap into that or acknowledge it at least. I think we all have it. I think very few can acknowledge that. Okay, you've talked about health, healing, and life changes, but what was a moment that really broke you and you had to really rebuild from?
Probably when I separated with my ex. It was a really horrible time. I was leaving a 7-year relationship. I never thought I'd be leaving him. I chose to. And here I am pursuing a totally different avenue and following my heart, which is now with a woman. And
well, let's back up a minute. So you left New York, 24, you leave New York, you guys are engaged, right?
Yeah.
Do I remember that right?
Yeah.
And you guys go to California where you've always wanted to be. So I'm sure you're on a high right now because you are in California, you're in love, you're engaged, right? Everything's going beautifully. What made you feel like if you were to give a warning sign or other women a thing of like, you're not in the right relationship now, what were you feeling? Like, how did you know this isn't for me anymore?
For me, it really wasn't a feeling. It was more things that I caught and found.
Okay.
But to go with the feeling was initially I thought, well, here's this man who's 17 years older than me. He's been through the bullshit. He's not going to bullshit me. He's not going to play me. He's over it.
I would assume the
so, you know, I'm pretty safe here.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt safe up until this one day, a week after our wedding. We came home to California because we got married at Ohiga Castle in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And we flew home and his cell phone was on his bedside and it was going off and dinging, dinging. And I had never gone through his phone because I never felt like I had to. I felt really safe. But that gut feeling came in and was like, maybe I'll just go check and see like, what's up? You know, I was in New York for 2 weeks. So I went a week before our wedding for my girlfriend's wedding and to like be with my bridesmaids and everything. And then he flew in, we got married and then flew back. So I go and look at his phone and I see text messages from girls that were there at my house a week before while I was in New York preparing for our wedding. And so that was one of the moments that I felt like my world was like crashing because I had never expected it, didn't expect it, didn't sense it, didn't feel it. I felt a little like he was a little off, a little distant when I was in New York the week prior to our wedding. But I thought like maybe it's just like wedding jitters. I was his third wife, which was a red flag. And I was just young and dumb and didn't know. So yeah, that was one of the reasons why we didn't work out. And that was 4 years in. I stayed with him for 7. And within those years, there were 3, what I call these main events. So that was number 1. And then there were 2 more main events out of lots of trickles. And then eventually I just got to a point where I was no longer happy in my relationship, regardless of the money, the cars, the clothes, the freedom that I thought I had. And that's why I chose to leave.
So it's safe to say money's not enough.
Never.
Listen, I don't even think love's enough. Okay, I'm going to go out and say that.
That is so funny. I literally just said that like on a post maybe a few weeks ago. I do not believe that love is enough.
I don't think love is enough. And I know that sounds really bad and like jaded and I don't know. I just don't. I think it takes a lot to make a relationship really work, you know?
Absolutely.
And so like I can like totally empathize with you, like, you know, 24, like whisked away, like it's like a fairy tale. It really like feels like every girl's dream is that, to be honest with you. But then to like see things happen or have these feelings of like, this is not the right thing for me. But also I think you, at that age, what were you, when you started to know
26,
that things,
I got married.
26, you got married. So by 30, you know that things are a little bit off in terms of like these instances that are happening. But even at 30, I think we're very young.
Yes.
And
I still feel 25 and I'm 40.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like now I'm sitting here saying that and I'm like, yeah, but like even now if something like that were to happen, like I still think I would sit there and be like, how do you get out of something like that? How do you, it's easier to jump into something, I think, but it's harder to step out. And when you're 30 years young and you're just like, I don't know, but you did it.
Yeah.
You know? And did you have Faith Swimwear at the time?
No, we had already closed it. I got pregnant.
Oh, so
Lily was doing the show.
Okay.
I think we closed it in 2015. I had moved to London for a year. It just wasn't doing the same. I wasn't modeling my own swimwear. And I really feel like, I know it sounds funny, but I feel like as beautiful as the models were that we hired through these amazing agencies, it just wasn't selling like it was when I was modeling
it.
The products. Yeah.
Yeah. You step away because you find these instances go on, but like what was going through your mind at the time? Like, what do you wish that you could have done different or better for yourself? Or what are you actually, both ways, and what are you proud of? Like, I did X, Y, Z during that time when you knew that this wasn't the right relationship for you anymore.
I mean, one, I knew that none of that was my fault. It's definitely his own things that he deals with and dealt with. And I just happened to be the person that got the brunt of it.
But that's huge. Most women would blame themselves. What's wrong with me? Why is he doing these things? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Usually, but you were like, no, this is his problem. These are his actions.
I'm sure, look, at 26, and I found these texts, I'm sure I felt differently. But now in this day and age and knowing what I know and looking back, it wasn't me at all. It was definitely things and demons he was dealing with. I think I did everything great. It got weird towards the end because my heart started to follow a different place, which was Danielle, and I was still with my ex at the time. And so it came down to an ultimatum. Am I going to stay with the father of my children, or am I going to, pursue and follow my heart, which was calling me to Danielle? And
but Danielle was years later, right? Like after
Danielle was very many years later.
Yeah, many years later. So how did your ex-husband, I'm assuming you told him, but how did he take that information?
So long story short, I asked him if he would mind if I saw what this was. He knew I was always sort of curious about women, but I had never really pursued or saw what that was, other than like one time in college with one of my friends. But he basically told me that as long as they don't have a dick, like I don't care.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. And so it was all fun and games until he saw how connected I was to her. And now there was an invader, so to speak, to his castle, his wife. And that's when the jealousy started. That's when the trackers on my car started. That's when it just was no longer fun and light. It was very heavy and very dark. And I had to choose. Like, I couldn't stay. It wasn't fair to him. It wasn't fair to me. It wasn't fair to Danielle. It wasn't fair to my kids. It just was not like a good situation. So I think, to go back to your question, if I could have changed or done anything maybe a little different, it would have been more communication and ending it sooner. Really listening to my gut. I knew it was over, but I was scared. I was scared to leave. I had these 2 babies. Where was I going to go? What was I going to do? And it was a scary time. Yeah. But I left.
Yeah, you did.
And I did. And I'm with Danielle almost 10 years later. And I think it just goes to show that the grass really grows where you water it. And love isn't enough. It really is communication and care and loyalty and respect and all of those things.
I think it's a choice. You make a choice every single day, or yeah, you do. But definitely when things get really tough, it's not romantic. It's not love. It's not money. It's a choice that you're making. Like, okay, I'm going to stick this through. I'm not saying when there's behavior that's, not acceptable. We all have our boundaries. But even when everything is perfect in someone's relationship, I think that we need to be more honest of the fact that, like, yes, we still work at this.
So much work.
It's still a job. Like, don't want to call it a job, but it is a job. Like, you let that go and everything's hunky-dory for you, but then you're working on your stuff and he's working on his career or she's working on her career. Like, you're going to notice the distance starting to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You still have each other's back, but like, you have to work on things. And I think that's one of the things I always try to tell when younger girls ask me what, like, relationship advice. I'm like, just know that this isn't a fairy tale. This is not Disney. Okay. You don't accept certain behaviors, but everything else, you got to learn to work through it and give him just as much as grace, or give her just as much as grace as you expect for yourself from the person.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a real relationship is all about. Can you tell us about a little bit more details about your implant journey? It affected your health, but then also now your outlook on beauty and confidence, maybe. I'm sure that's changed since then.
So it has. I think everything in moderation. I'm not going to age gracefully at all. I get my Botox, I get my fillers, but I feel like I'm so healthy with everything else in my life.
Pick your poison, right?
Exactly. You zig and you zag. I live healthy, I eat organic, my products are non-toxic. So if I'm deciding to have a vice of anything, I don't drink alcohol, like I don't do drugs, it's gonna be how I look. And that's okay for me and it works. If I was getting sick and I was having all these things like my implants were causing, then yeah, I would have to look into alternatives to Botox. I'd get a facelift. But right now that's not my reality. So I think if it works for you, and this is even with girls that want to get implants, I would never want somebody to feel bad for wanting implants, because I was that girl. I was that girl that so desperately just wanted to fit in and have boobs like all the other girls had. And it wasn't until it affected my health that I decided to remove them.
Yeah. Did you have any sort of not remorse, but like sad, like an identity change? Yeah, like, oh, this is not me anymore. Or did you never have your identity tied to that?
So I never shed a tear for removing my implants. Still to this day, I don't regret it. I don't like or love how I look. I have very small boobs, But I'm happy because I'm healthy and I have my line that helps fill those voids when I want to have boobs for the night. I view it kind of like makeup. I'm very comfortable with no makeup on, but I'm coming here, I'm going to put on makeup because this is how I want to present myself. Sometimes I want to go out with no bra and I have my little bubbies. And then sometimes I want to put on my bra and have boobs again for the night.
People don't understand that. That's not very digestible. Like, even for me, like, hey, sometimes I want to wear makeup, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want to be full on glam. And there are, people are like, well, I thought you didn't like this, or I thought you didn't do this. Like, cause I'm the same way. My vice is Botox. Okay. Like, yes, I'll eat organic and everything else will be non-toxic. Like, I'm into all of that stuff too. But then it's like, yeah, I have one thing. Yesterday, actually, we were with, my husband and I were with, 2 realtors actually. And, one of them was a guy, one of them was a woman. And it's like the woman understood, but the guy didn't, and he's like, well, you just said that you get Botox. And I'm like, yes, that's one thing out of the 100 that I could be doing, but it makes me happy. So yeah, why not? But you're right. If it was affecting the health, that'd be clipped in a second. Yeah. No tears, nothing, totally. All gone. In quiet moments when no one's around you or no one sees you, what do you still struggle with?
I still struggle with what other people think of me at times. Sometimes, and maybe it has to do with that time of the month, but sometimes I don't give a what anybody has to think or say, because ultimately I will always do what I feel is right for me, because whatever the decision is, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, it doesn't matter. But then there's times where do people look at me and think that I'm too this or too that, or is my hair okay? I definitely still have, and I think we all have certain insecurities and things that we worry about. And what other people think has always been one of mine. But I do think my growth over the years has been really good, that I've kind of not cared as much. And I also don't look. I don't Google my name. I don't look at forums. If there's things written about me, I just don't look. Because if it doesn't exist in my reality, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't, though. That's true, right? We're not taught that, but that's actually a really, like, the Secret book teaches you that. Like, if something is not in front of you, like, it's not there.
Yeah.
It's only there when you give it the attention or the acknowledgement or the energy that it's there.
Yeah.
So that's like a real thing. With that being said, is that because in the past you have dealt with a lot of opinions of people?
Yeah.
And it hurt you?
Yeah. I mean, my skin had to get really thick when I was with my ex.
Okay.
I was out on MySpace. I mean, I was out there from the jump, MySpace into Instagram, Facebook, all the things. But being in the relationship with my ex and then being in the spotlight, so to speak, and having my relationship and my lifestyle so public, yeah, a lot of people had a lot of opinions and things to say.
Back then, how did you deal with it?
I think I just tried not to care, but I looked and it would affect my energy and it would affect me. And then when I went through my separation, I had to shut my social media down for 6 months because people were so cruel. There were pages on Instagram made about me. They'd screenshot me talking in like not a good, photo or screenshot and be like, look at her double chin or look at this. Like, they were just horrible. They were mad that I left my ex for a woman, not knowing all the stuff that I had gone through and why I left. And I stayed very private up until maybe last year about why I left, because I felt like my kids were young and eventually they were going to get older into a place where they were going to be able to Google my name, their dad's name, and read and find all of the information. So I really wanted to be clear on why I left and make sure it was really respectful to my kids.
So at the time,
I didn't defend myself.
Didn't try to defend yourself because of your kids.
I ate it all.
Wow. Did he know this?
I'm sure. I mean, he put out the narrative that he wanted, and I just kind of let it go. I'm sure I chimed in every now and then, but very, very small. I just really wasn't ready to talk about anything. And even now I graze over things, and that's why I call them main events. I don't need to say what happened or what I found. I think people could paint the picture for themselves.
Have you ever felt the need to completely reinvent yourself?
I feel like turning 40, which happened this year in February, I kind of felt like this year was going to be like a new reinvention of myself. And in a lot of ways, it has been. In August of last year, I did my first very big podcast, and that was huge for me. I stressed it the entire year. The Skinny Confidential.
Oh, I saw that.
It was Lauren Bostic.
Lauren and Michael.
I mean, that was like baptism by fire. Like,
That was your first
That
big
was the
one.
first podcast I ever did. I flew to Austin. I was so nervous.
You were nervous?
Yes.
Really?
See, but that's the thing. Like, people wouldn't think I'd be nervous. Do you know, I was literally in the ER on Wednesday because I had to public speak at an event yesterday. I like got myself so worked up and so sick I had to go to the ER.
But this is so beautiful. Not to say that your suffering is beautiful, but this is so like beautiful to see that like, hey, we see all these people on TV and we see all this like glitz and glam, but like these people struggle with the same stuff. Like, yeah, you could be afraid to do public speaking or be on a show, but so is she. She still gets up and does it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the difference.
So I feel like I've faced so many fears. Like, public speaking yesterday was definitely another check off that fear list, and it feels so good.
It wasn't that bad, right?
No, it wasn't, but I was so worked up for it. Like,
it's like, really you know what I call it? Exposure therapy. The more and more you expose yourself to something that you're afraid of, you can't just do it once and then say, okay, you got to keep doing it. And then it's just second nature.
Yeah.
Then you're like looking for it. You're
yeah.
like, okay, where's the next one?
Exactly. Like coming here today, I wasn't nervous at all. I was so excited.
Because you just did this thing yesterday.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe that. Or maybe also you had done Skinny Confidential.
Well, I did that. Yeah. Kind of like broke the ice.
Yeah. Broke the ice. Yeah.
So I felt like 40 was going to be the year that I'm facing lots of fears, doing things I wouldn't want to do, but I'm like growing through it.
That's
only
beautiful.
took 40 years.
That's incredible. Not to keep harping on this, but to understand more of your mindset back then when you were married to such a powerful man, very public person. How did you at that age and at that time of your life maintain your own identity and your own voice and your own power? Because you strike me as that type of woman who isn't going to give up her independence, so to speak, I guess you could say. Your own, whatever it is that you want to call your own. Like, I don't see you getting lost in someone. If you did, fine. But like, I don't know. I just see you maintaining your.
So I think he loved that I was out there on Instagram when it finally came out, which I think was 2010. That was within 2009. I created a blog, and he was always really supportive. He really would always brag to his family about the things I was doing. He was supportive and helped me start my swimwear line. You know, that may not be for what every powerful businessman husband is doing for their wives, but that was his position in our relationship. And I feel like he was really supportive through all of that. He didn't want me to model anymore. So I was modeling in Manhattan. I was doing TV work and print work. And when we moved, he kind of was like, I don't really think you need to do that anymore. And honestly, I didn't have to. I just enjoyed that. So I was able to create my own swimwear line, became the boss of my line, and also modeled in my line. So
the boss of the models and could model in your own line. It's like it's a better trade-off, I think. But so you maintained your identity by still doing like your public stuff, maybe just not the modeling, but you ended up doing that too for your line. But you didn't leave your identity. You were still doing things that spoke to you.
Yeah.
Like you never lost that.
No.
Like, okay.
No.
Got it. What principles guide your approach to financial management in relationships today?
So I think having gone through my experience with my ex and being raised by a single mother, who taught me to always save for a rainy day. She also told me that finances should always be separate and that I should always have my own bank account, regardless of who I'm with. And with my ex, I did. I always had my own bank account, and we had a house account that paid for house bills. And then now with my wife, Danielle, I kind of view it the same. Like, I have my account, she has her account, and we have a house account that's a joint account that we put money into. I don't believe that when you get married to somebody that what's theirs is yours and what's yours is theirs. I just don't. I don't even believe really in taking someone else's last name. Although legally we did take each other's, I will always maintain Jennifer Stano, and that's just the way I want it to be. And she still has her name too. I think that regardless of a situation that you're in financially, you should always feel strong in where you are and have your own account, that if you ever had to leave, you do not have to have money held over your head like a carrot, that you feel stuck. I think that is probably the worst feeling for anyone, is to feel stuck. Like, I knew when I was leaving that I could leave. I could go and I could rent a house on my own. I could pay for it. There were times where he wasn't giving child support for months and months, and I knew that I could still support myself, my kids, the rent, the bills, you know, the nannies that we had at the time. Like, I could survive until things got rectified. And I think that there's so much power, they say money is power. It's kind of true in a sense. I felt powerful enough that I could leave that situation, and I left everything. I literally left with my kids' cars and clothes, and that's it.
I think most women watching this who may have found themselves in your situation or might be in your situation right now would say that's her power right there. Like, because I don't think that's the reality for a lot of women.
It's not.
Unfortunately. Like, maybe they started from the ground up with their husband and he's the one who controls the money, or this is why she has her side job because, he's so tight with it that she can't even go buy the pair of shoes. It's like you see 40, 50-year-old women still living this way. It's a reality in our society right now. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. But I think that it is up to us to do something about it, to put yourself in that situation where had you or something goes wrong, you could walk away if you had to. That's not to say, I know if my husband, when he watches this, he's going to be like, why would you feel that way? Ever. It's not that I feel that way. It's just that anything can happen tomorrow. And not every man is the same. I'm not saying all men are like this at all by any means, or is every marriage this way. But a lot of women stay with those men because they think, maybe I can support myself. How am I going to give this life to my kids though? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to rob my kids of this life. I can support them. Or whatever. Maybe there's fear involved. So I think that's a very powerful message.
I also think to tell people, it's like you never really know someone's true colors until their livelihood, their lifestyle, and their kingdom is jeopardized. Like I saw colors from that situation in him that I didn't know existed. It's like the person I married no longer existed. And that's really a scary reality to go through when you no longer know the person that you were with because they're threatened, their money's threatened, their business is threatened, whatever it is, they don't want to lose you. So now they're holding everything back. That's scary.
It is.
So, I don't see anything wrong with having a separate account. Wouldn't it be nice to not have to ask permission to go buy something?
Absolutely.
I would never ask permission.
No, we're not kids. You know what I mean? I say to my husband all the time, and our family actually, I'm like, Brian's money is our money, but my money is my money.
I used to say that.
There's just nothing, he laughs.
What's yours is mine, what's mine is mine.
100%. I'm like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I joke to Danielle about that. Yeah. So funny.
That's just how it is. You have to accept that. If you accept that, you have me. We're good. What does feminine strength mean to you today?
Being able to stand on your own 2 feet.
Financially.
Being confident in yourself, knowing your self-worth. Don't settle for less. Don't ask permission. Those are such powerful things that I didn't know in my 20s and early 30s. And I feel now, and they're so strong.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know those either in my 20s. But I think you're right. I think that we should instill that in our youth at an early age. Why is it that boys grow up that way, but girls don't?
I don't know. And you don't have to be hard about it.
I
think I'm very soft but I'm strong and I'm confident in where I am in my life, and that, I can stand on my own 2 feet alone if I ever had to.
Mm-hmm. How do you teach your sons, if you do? I think they're young. Are they young?
10 and 11.
10 and 11. They might be too young. But do you talk to them about the strength and complexity of women? You probably do just by showcasing it.
They say they have 2 moms and a dad.
Yeah.
So Danielle is their bonus mom. And I'm sure that they see Danielle and I and all that we do, and we're running this household, and, we're doing all the things. So I'm sure they see it, but they're not really at an age where I do talk to my older son though about periods. And that he's at the age now where girls, I think, are getting their periods 10, 11, 12. And I try to say, if something ever happened, don't make them feel bad if they had an accident or bled through. I try to teach them things like that. Be the kind, kid that's going to go get a sweatshirt and tell her to wrap up her waist or something.
Yeah.
Just be kind.
That's sweet. Let's talk about Danielle.
Okay.
A little bit. How did it begin?
So I was her client.
On it a little bit.
I was her client first for 2 years. She was running the pet lifestyle center in Beverly Hills, and she would groom 2 of my dogs. So I was strictly just a client. Okay. I met her when my oldest son was only 6 months old, and that's kind of how we started talking professionally, in her job. And she had looked at my son Nico, who had a Yankee fitted on. She was like, so do you like the Yankees, or are you actually from New York? And I was like, no, I'm from New York. And she's actually from a town over from where I'm from also. We just, just 2 different worlds.
Yeah.
And so it was 2 years later, I reached out to her And this was after the conversation I had with my ex, like, how would you feel if I saw what this was like?
But okay, 2 years later you reached out to her?
2 years later. So I was her client within those 2 years, but
so
it was
the whole
only
time.
professional.
Okay.
I would travel. I traveled a lot. So when I'd come back, I'd text and be like, hey, I'm back. Like the dogs need to come in, and we'd drop them off, pick them up. And I always noticed that like she was attractive and she had this gorgeous, like long black, like curly hair. And I kind of thought she was a lesbian or like into girls, but I wasn't sure. And she had a tongue ring. And I always used to say, like, any girl over the age of 25 with a tongue ring has to be a lesbian. Like, it was just one of my weird things.
Yeah.
And I reached out to her one day just randomly and was kind of like, you know, I've been thinking about you and just wanted to talk and da-da-da and whatever we said. And she reached out that night later on.
But wait, she took hours to respond?
No, she responded right away, but she was getting her nails done.
Okay.
And she was like, I can't really respond right now, but like, I'll get back to you later. Like your message made me smile. And she wrote me back later to answer one of the questions I had said. And that conversation after I slept the kids lasted for 7 hours. And that was kind of like how that sort of started. My ex was sleeping in his office downstairs at the time, and there was a lot of disconnect that I didn't even realize that was really happening until I was able to like look back and be like, yeah, we really were going through something and I didn't even know, you know.
Mm-hmm. You were thinking about her, and then finally you just mustered up the courage to initiated that.
I initiated it.
Wow. I want to know what marriage with a woman is like.
So a relationship with a woman is different, period. Living with a woman is different, period. I never dormed in college, so I didn't get a dorm experience, but I would imagine it's something very similar. It's like the bathroom is all female products, lots of female hair on the floor. I have to vacuum daily with white marble floors. We both have long, dark hair. You know, she likes to pick through my closet sometimes. We wear very similar sizes, but not styles, luckily. And, you know, when we're both PMSing, there's no one that's like the calm in the storm. We're both the storm at the same
I never
time.
thought of that.
Like, you know, when you're with your husband, it's like, oh, okay, he knows that you're like a little nuts.
Yeah.
But then he's going to get over. Imagine you both being nuts. Like, it gets bad. So, like, we like to joke that every month we're getting a divorce. Some months are worse than others, but then we get over it.
Is it true that when you're living or so close to another female, like, your cycles are the same?
Sort of. Mine were always wanky to begin with. So, like,
okay.
I don't know. Mine are always late.
Okay.
But
what about communication?
Communication is really good, I think, because women tend to be more emotional anyways. So we both understand that communicating does us justice and not the other way around.
Isn't it easier, though? Because I feel like women have to talk things through. At least that's how I am. And so she probably does, too, when something is off, no?
She loves to talk through things. Sometimes I need a moment, and she doesn't want to give me that moment. She's like, no, we need to work it out now. And I'm like, oh, I really need to digest what just happened. Like, you need to give me a moment.
Okay.
But we've both learned throughout our 9 years together, like, you really have to drop the ego sometimes and put your pride aside and admit when you've made a mistake or communicate the uncomfortable things. And that just helps it get over that issue or problem so much faster.
So communication is easier with a woman than with a man?
I think so. I'm also older and with a woman. So I feel like, you know, older and wiser.
Yeah. And I guess you've also had the experience of being married before and going through the things you do. We all learn, right?
Yeah.
From everything that's happened, good or bad. And so maybe you have evolved already. And so the communication is easier. What about the chemistry? Did that take you said you were always curious, but did that surprise you in some ways once you got to know Danielle more and you guys started hanging out more?
It was instant. Like when we were talking that night over text and then a little bit on the phone, we had instant chemistry and so much in common. And it almost felt like a past life sort of relationship. Like there was a feeling of we've been here before or like knew each other before. It was so calm and it was so, I mean, it was spicy, but it felt familiar and we just had like an undeniable connection.
I don't know if you're going to see this, but do you guys, when I look at you two, even like from before I was following you, you guys look very similar.
We get it all the time.
But I take that as twin flames, and I don't know if you know anything about twin flames.
We do. Yeah,
do?
I have books and stuff on it. So there's elements of the whole twin flame thing I like, but then there's also some that are like, well, you're not supposed to be together twin flames, or it could be like tumultuous to like your
Yeah,
relationship.
you guys
So
didn't have a tumultuous beginning because
mm,
so my husband and I think we consider ourselves twin flames since like 2011 when we like got into it. But like there's a runner. What is it? There's a chaser and there's a runner in the twin flame situation. You guys didn't have that, but I still kind of see it because maybe it's like the better part where you are supposed to be together in this lifetime because there's more than one type of twin flame relationship.
right.
It's not just the one, but there is the ones where this is not the life for you. But clearly, I mean, you've been together for almost 10 years, you know? But I don't know, when I see you guys or see pictures of you guys, I'm like, they're just meant to be. I don't know. There's like this, you guys are very unique, but then very similar. And I'm not talking in looks all the time, but also energy,
Yeah.
like energy wise.
Yeah.
And
We
so
get it.
I've always thought like they're twin flames for sure.
I love that.
And they're supposed to be together. I don't know. That's what I think you're supposed to be together. What shocked you the most about this relationship with Danielle?
I feel like usually when you meet someone, you have like the honeymoon first. And we definitely didn't go through that because I was going through the craziness of like leaving my ex and all of that. So we kind of like went through the fire, have the honeymoon, and now, yeah, we're like best friends and lovers. And I don't know. I don't really know if anything. I think maybe what shocked me is that I'm in a relationship with a woman, period. I never thought that I would be. And I still feel like myself. Like it doesn't feel different. I feel like I'm just in a relationship, even though from the outside, people view this as very different. But it feels very normal and real.
What's tough about it?
Sometimes I still get like a little shy sometimes in public, which is so weird because we're together for 9 years, but I'm not always like holding her hand walking down the street in Delray Beach, like with a bunch of like men at bars and stuff. Like we're a little cautious, I think, of our like surroundings sometimes, or I'm not like making out with her at a bar when there's like lots of guys and things around, and we don't go out that often.
But are you shy or are you just careful because men sexualize that and look at
Yes.
that wrong?
Yes.
So you're trying to not give off that vibe.
It's a really good way to put it because just the other day we were out together and she started dancing with me and I didn't like push her off, but I kind of wanted her to stop because I felt like there were eyes on us and we already draw a lot of attention to ourselves. To then have her like dancing really like sexually on me, I knew like I could almost like feel the energy of like the men, and I don't like to draw that kind of attention. But then she kind of gets like a little offended if I'm like pushing her off a little bit or telling her to like tone it down because she wants to just be able to be her. And I get that. And we had that in LA because in LA we have West Hollywood, and West Hollywood is predominantly like gay and lesbian, and it's like a safe space. And when we go to these girl events, it's just all the girls, and if it's a safe space. But that's not how it is every day in our world. We live in Boca. It's kind of a conservative state. And, you know, although we've always been very accepted and never felt anything other than that, I'm still cautious when we're out in public about what we're doing.
Do you think you'll ever not be cautious?
I don't know.
Is that what she wants?
Probably.
How did you handle friends and family when you decided to be with Danielle? Or were they not shocked?
Friends and family. Well, I was living this perfect world and life, you know, from the outside. And it was a shock to everyone. One, what had happened between my ex and I. Two, that I was leaving. And three, that I was not only leaving, I was leaving for a woman. So it was definitely a shock at first. I think my family was just really concerned because I had these two babies and it was a very big lifestyle and a very powerful man and family. And like, what was I going to do on my own? And, but they came around and they see how Danielle is with my boys and what a great bonus mom she is and how she shows up for them. And, I mean, they came around rather quickly. So it's
So you
been
had
really
the
nice.
support. Like
They're
the
very
support was
supportive.
there.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I want to talk a little bit about your spirituality. I feel like you have a spiritual side. Am I wrong?
I do.
Okay. Like crystals, moons.
Totally.
Okay. All right. How has your spiritual perspective evolved throughout all these different phases of your life? Because you've lived like 9 lives.
Totally. So in 2015, I feel like I started, well, no, when I got pregnant with my son, I changed my entire lifestyle. I started paying attention to labels, products, chemicals, ingredients, what I'm eating, what I'm putting on and in my body. And that sort of started this sort of spiritual shift in me. In 2015, I remember speaking a lot to a psychic friend of mine who I met through Instagram, but she's been so much a part of my life in all areas since then to now. And she introduced me to like crystals and meditation. And it wasn't until 2016 when I was leaving my ex and going through everything that I was going through that I really started to work on my inner self, that inner child, the traumas I was going through, the things I was feeling, you know, believing in the universe. I always believed in The Secret that I read since like 2008 or 9.
Same.
But meditation and the power of your breath and getting downloads and listening to silence, which sounds weird, but like you're listening to silence.
That's the universe's sound. Like even like there's like hertz, like HERTZ, like hertz of sounds, and that's why the body can heal. We're always all stimulated, whether it's the TV or music. Like I still am, but I toned it down, like rap and hip hop music, right? That stuff causes dis-ease and discord in your body. Like literally you look at the cells when you play that kind of music, or when you have the TV on, or like people who can't cook without a podcast on or something. You're constantly looking for this stimuli, and what it does to your blood and your cells and like all the little membranes in your body, it's like literally vibrating.
Yeah.
But when you listen to silence or classical music, frequencies,
solfeggio or something.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. Those frequencies, or even like red noise at night. There's studies done that I don't remember what part of the world they're doing these studies in right now, but literally the way that it brings your body from dis-ease to ease and kind of harmonizes everything. And if you keep your body in that state for long enough with the help of these things, cancer's gone, gut issues are gone, like your hair is growing, like things actually your body starts to communicate with itself in more of a flow because there's nothing external causing a little bit of distress, so to speak. So what we think is fun is not good for us most of the time.
Did you see that study with the rice? The 2 glasses of rice and water, and one said love and one said hate.
Oh, 100%. That's why I believe in what we say.
Self, yes.
100%. Like words have power.
Etymology, I think it's called.
So does sound. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like sound is a big thing. Words, what we say.
Spelling.
Yep. Like you don't say good morning.
Yes.
You say good day
rising
or good rising. That's how you start. One of my other friends that lives in Pinecrest, I think they say good day. Yeah, they say good day. I sometimes don't say anything. I kind of just get into it with people. I don't even acknowledge it sometimes. But it's crazy how that stuff really does affect our bodies and our mind. And I also think that affects your quality of life at the end of the day, So that's really cool. What kind of legacy do you want to leave?
I definitely want to have something left behind. And I hope that it's my company, because it really was birthed from such a raw place in need and from pain. And there's so many women that really suffer with breast implant illness, but are so scared to remove their implants because of what they're going to look like after, and the fear of not having something to make them feel confident in themselves again. So I hope that this really continues to grow the way it's been, and that I can then leave that as my legacy for my children or to whoever. And just know that like I wanted women to like feel so good about themselves.
What's your message to somebody going through that right now who doesn't want to make that decision but should be?
Just to really like put your health before your aesthetics, and just trust that it's all going to work out. You really just have to have the confidence in yourself that you're beautiful no matter what. Even for the exterior, it's going to look different, but there's going to be things that can help you feel like you felt when you had your boobs. You don't have to suffer and keep them just to have this like look on the outside.
What feedback has impacted you the most from your customers?
That I get handwritten letters and I get emails, and even the reviews are so amazing. But that, women had been suffering for so long. And I have women that are in their 20s all the way up until their like 60s that have explanted and removed their implants, and that are buying my bra and just feel so relieved to have found something that they've been searching for years to give them the look that they wanted, or the confidence back that they've been lacking. Those messages, like, make it worth the time, the blood, the sweat, the tears, maybe not blood, but the sweat and the tears for sure, and money spent in going into this.
And the risk that you took. If everything you've built disappeared tomorrow, what would still hold in your life that would give you fulfillment and meaning?
In business, I guess that the women that got to experience what I created and the feeling that it made them feel, giving them their confidence back, that is really the whole point behind the brand.
What's one truth about life, womanhood, or success that you now hold sacred that your younger self could not have even understood?
Maybe that the way you make people feel is so much more important than the money that you're making or what you said. It really has to be that how you've made people feel.
And fulfillment too, right? Like I feel like even how you make people feel is fulfilling. When you know that it's like a good thing that you kind of carried forward.
Well, most people are creating a brand because they want to put something out there that they themselves also love, you know, and hope that other people do. So when other people actually do and are giving you that feedback that, wow, it's transformed their lives, you know, that's really powerful and meaningful.
What's something that you do to fulfill yourself that fills you up? Like you're a businesswoman, you're a mom, you're a wife, but what is one thing Jennifer does to give back to herself?
Self-care. I like a bath. I like to meditate. I love candles. I love doing all my lotions and all my face things and all my scrubs and wood body gua shas. All the things.
Heart stuff.
It could literally be an hour. And I mean, that just makes me feel good. My red light therapy, getting in bed. I love reading. I don't do it enough, but I do. Those are the things, and like the quiet moments when you have time for yourself. Those are the things that fill up my cup.
Question, what red light do you use?
I don't know the name of a mask, but it's a mask that goes on your neck and your chest and your face. And then I have like a red light panel from red light therapy.
Do you do it every night or do you do like every other? Like,
no, a few times a week.
A few times a week. Okay.
Yeah.
And then since you said candles, I'm looking for non-toxic candles and I'm sure you care about that stuff. So what's a good brand?
I have to look it up. I don't know the names off the top of my head, but I do have some that are like coconut wax or or beeswax. I don't know which one was like the healthier one, but there's one that's like not putting in the fumes. Into the atmosphere.
Yeah. This is why I don't usually use candles. I always use candles like when people are here, but normally I don't because I'm like, I don't know what's in this thing right now. If you weren't doing any of this and you didn't have your brands or your companies, what would you be doing?
Traveling the world.
I love that. I love that. Do you have any trips coming up?
We don't, although we went to Costa Rica a few years ago, and I think my soul is craving a really easy trip. 2 years ago, we went on a very big, like 3-week vacation to Europe and Greece. And that's very like, you know, you got to plan your outfits and like you want to look cute. I don't want to look cute. I want to like backpack to Costa Rica and beach it and drink juice and like fast and do a cleanse. Like my soul is craving one of those.
It's weird you said that. I'm doing a 3-day water fast next weekend.
Oh, good luck.
Because I'm feeling it. I'm craving it. I'm like, I just don't want to consume. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like and I haven't done a fast since 2019, believe it or not, which is not like me. And I'm sure like that's not the way to go at things, but like, I'm like, no, I need to do this. Like, I just need to buckle down. But like, I'm around my husband who's weightlifting and eating all the time. So I'm like, I just have to do it.
Yeah.
You know when you have to.
Totally.
Right? You just
like feel it.
You just feel it. Like, it's not even like a disgusting feeling. It's more of like you keep thinking about it. And I'm just like, all right, I need to get on this. But yeah, I feel you on that. And just to like go away on a vacation where you're just fully you, I can't explain it. Like no makeup, no hair, no this, no that. And just like being one with nature.
I call myself like a glam hippie. Like I love being glamorous, but like I also have such a hippie element in me that will like go to those springs and like.
I just have to look at you guys now because this is so. Before, like, are you kidding me? Like, did I not say this before you came here? And they're like, he asked me a question. He's like, "What is it that you want?" I was like, "Listen." I was like, "The reason I was attracted to her and wanted her on the show is because she's like me, like into all the girly things and this and that." I was like, or like you know the brands, the labels, and this, right? But then you have such like a hippie side to you, and that's how I am too. And so they're like, they just looked at me and I'm like, you just said it.
I had a brand called Glam Hippies with 2 of my girlfriends. It was makeup, like non-toxic vegan makeup.
Yeah.
We let that go too. It didn't have a strong run, but I totally identify with that.
Like there's so much more to us than like what you see like on top. You know what I mean? Like, I
Like
love
I walk
that.
around barefoot everywhere, and I
Because you
earth
should.
and ground
Earth and
and
earthy and grounding. Okay, so like on our back patio, like I was just telling someone this other, like I like suntan, like not my head, but like in the morning sun before 10 a.m. Usually it's between 8 and 9, like naked, because it's like good for you.
Yeah.
That's your real red light,
Yeah.
right? From the morning sun, like 15 minutes front, 15 minutes back. And I swear it gives me like, that's my caffeine for the day. Like I feel so good. But nobody would believe, like, you know what I mean? People are like, you do that? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I have a big hippie side to me too. And I could see
I love that.
now. What's one of the most meaningful, proud moments of your life?
I've had a lot. I mean, definitely having kids was one for the books. Those were at the top. Second would be I got asked to do Playboy, not naked, but post explant. And that was super meaningful and powerful for me to do post explant because I always wanted to do Playboy when I was like in my 20s. But then I got engaged at 24 and I didn't need to and probably couldn't have anyways. But it was always just such a fantasy because those women were so beautiful and so glamorous. They appeared on the magazines. And so when I got asked to do it, I jumped at the opportunity and it was really beautiful photos. I was in like a suit for one of them. Then I had like pants on and like was just covering my top. But the whole point of me doing it in my late 30s post explant was to show that like you can be post explant or post mastectomy and still be so beautiful. And it's more about the confidence that I was exuding in myself in those photos than anything else.
That's incredible. Jennifer, you've literally turned every personal pain into like a success for yourself throughout your life. I don't know if you see this pattern in your life, but like you've taken every little turn in your life and turned it into something really meaningful and beautiful for other people. And I hope you're proud of yourself because you've done incredible. And thank you so much for joining me today. But before you leave, where can our audience find Original Self, Aligned, and connect with you?
So you can connect with me at Jennifer Stano, and that is for all socials. And in the link in bio, I have all of my links there.
For
Super
Original
simple.
Self and the Aligned brand.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.